So we had about 40 people register, so that's pretty awesome. So hopefully folks remember to show up. I know we sent out some reminder emails, but Emily, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about GoWP and what you all do?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks. So yeah, we're happy to be co-sponsoring this webinar with Kronda. I know Brad you guys have been working together for a while now, so he was excited. Brad's the founder of GoWP. So he was excited to do this together. So yeah, GoWP is one of the leading white label maintenance and support services for WordPress websites. So we do also individual sites as well for web professionals. But yeah, if you're an agency owner or just a web professional, we team up with you and provide 24/7 maintenance services as a monthly subscription plan. And we also offer support services for small tasks, things that normally take under half an hour and can be done through the admin panel of your sites. And our team of engineers takes care of all of that for you. And that's also monthly subscriptions, or you can buy them kind of in bundle packs that we started selling as well when you need things done on your sites. And we also have, as part of our maintenance service, the visual validator, which is our plugin update process. And it's unique to GoWP, and what it does is it will take screenshots of up to 20 pages of your sites before and after applying the updates. So that way, if there's any discrepancies detected, our guys will find out if they get alerted right away and can go in and take a look. So this kind of helps tackle the issue of plugins breaking your site when you update them, all that sort of stuff. So that's something we're really proud of as well. So yeah, that's pretty much GoWP in a nutshell.
Cool, yeah. And so I've been working with GoWP for at least 3 years. Was event. I couldn't disconnect the client sites. And so after I hired GoWP, I literally, I went to Hawaii, and I told Brad, I'm like, you're the reason that I have vacations. I went to Hawaii, we went to London, and I just knew that my clients were going to be taken care of. And even for myself, the first thing I did was, before I even had any maintenance clients, was I put my own sites on there. And then I had to train myself when I had to do something. I'm like, wait, I don't have to do that. I can send an email. I had something on my list for literally 6 or 8 months, and I was like, oh, can y'all do this? And then it was done, and it was just like magic. And
yeah, we get that kind of feedback a lot.
Yeah, peace of mind is a beautiful thing. It's just letting the people who that's what you do all day, every day. And so the things that would take me hours, I can just send that off and have it done, and it's beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you.
All right, so we got Sue coming in, Latoya, Carrie, Eric, and Sue is coming in from Moscow. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, as people trickle in, let us know where you're coming in from. And I'm going to go ahead and take my sip of tea here. Try not to cough my way through this as I get over this little bug I caught. And we'll go ahead and get started. So Emily, I'm going to go. Oh, Emily's already muted herself. Awesome. Okay, and then as we go through, there is a Q&A in the chat. So if you have questions as we go through, pop those in. And Brandy, my assistant's going to be watching for those and making sure that we get all your questions answered before we hop off the call. All right, so we're talking here today to talk about creating content that sells. Get your knowledge out of your head and spend more time doing what you love. And I was just talking with one of my office mates, and she was saying that she was talking about work at home, and her husband said, wow, you know a lot of stuff. And oftentimes we don't really realize even how much we know and how valuable it could be to someone else. And so getting that out of your head and onto the internet where people can see it is super helpful to both your audience and to you. So that's what we're going to chat about. So let's talk about who this presentation is for. I particularly like working with service-based business owners, and that includes folks like, people who are experts in their field, whether that's web or photography or financial or legal, coaches, consultants, basically the folks who are selling time for money, right? Even if you're making good money, if you're selling time for money, that means there's a cap on your income. And it can be really hard to scale. And I really relate intimately to those challenges because I'm also a service professional. And so that's really who this is aimed at. And as far as people I work with in particular, I really can be most useful to people who have had a few years in business, aren't like super brand new. But wherever you're at in your business, this information that I'm going to share today is going to be really valuable for you. Who this is not for, folks that I like to call wantpreneurs. That's people who talk a lot about what they're going to do, but never actually take action. People who have a skill, like they may be really good at something that people would pay for, but they really have no interest in learning how to actually run a business, because there's a lot more to running a business than just being good at your thing. Folks who think that they should get paid for what they do, but they're always trying to nickel and dime and get the deal and get everything for free. I really see this a lot in a lot of the business groups that I'm in, where people, will be looking for a tool or looking for help. And the first thing they want to know is, does anybody know a free resource to do X? Well, karmically, that doesn't really work out, because if you want people to pay you for your expertise and your knowledge, you should be willing to do that for others. And then folks who just aren't coachable. I really can't help someone if they're not actually going to implement the things that I share. So, you can kind of see which one of those you fit into and whether or not this is going to be useful for you. So what we're going to cover in the next 45 minutes to an hour is I'm going to teach you a perspective on how to create content that actually brings you leads who are ready to buy. Because they already know, like, and trust you. And I literally have clients now who, when they came to me, we would be having a conversation about working together, and they would say things like, I feel like I already know you because I've been watching your videos for hours. And when you have that, you really just need to show up and figure out if you can help someone. You don't have to hard sell people, which is a thing that many people really don't like to do. I'm going to share with you my 10-minute content strategy. I really took kind of the essentials of what I do and tried to boil it down to something really actionable and really compact that you can take away from this. And I'm also going to share how you can start bringing in more leads, 10, 20, 30 new leads a month without using paid ads. And I had a few folks submit the survey that I sent out before this, and generally people were wanting anywhere from double to quadruple the leads that they're getting now. So hopefully this information is going to teach you how to start making that consistent. I'm going to show you how to use content to actually outsource more tasks in your business. I'm really passionate about saving time and helping other people save time, and outsourcing is one of the ways to do that, and content can actually help you outsource. And then I'm going to share with you tips for getting back that time. All right, I'm just going to pause and promote Brandy so she can see your questions. Awesome. All right, so if you stick around till the end, here's a little carrot for you. I'm actually going to share with you the Google Doc and the mini course that talks about the content, the 10-minute content marketing strategy. And then there's also an extra bonus in there that goes a lot more in depth if you're interested in that. So if you stick around to the end, we'll make sure that you get that training. So I just wanted to put that out there for you. All right, on the one hand, I really kind of think about this as two kinds of experts. You've got content unaware experts. And some of the qualities of those folks are that they tend to have an inconsistent flow of leads and clients. They rely a lot on referrals for new business, but they really don't have control. If they needed a certain number of new leads or new clients, they're really not sure how they would go about making that happen in a predictable way. They often struggle to raise their prices, and they worry that, if they raise their prices, they're not going to be able to find clients who will actually pay those higher fees. They spend a lot of time going to networking groups and doing presentations and doing a lot of like one-on-one types of things that really aren't scalable, but they're not sure how to take that online and how to talk about their business online in a way that really attracts their ideal client. Most of them hate selling, and they feel like, internet marketing is like kind of shady, which a lot of people have shady practices, but you can do it in a way that's really authentic and really more geared towards service. They tend not to have a super deep understanding of their market. They might know a little bit about what the problems of their market are, but they don't have a really deep understanding. And they tend to have the same conversation, over and over and over again, but they don't really have time to blog, right? And they don't see the connections. So I'm gonna go ahead and launch a poll, and go ahead and just tell me like kind of which of those things do you feel like applies to you. I saw Eric say, oh yeah, that this is me. So yeah, this is super, super common. Like if this is you right now, that's why we're here, to try to get you out of this state. So what, on the flip side of that, we have the content aware experts. And here are some of the things that those folks get to enjoy. They understand how to leverage content to attract not just clients, but their ideal clients, right? Because when we have our ideal clients, we can actually enjoy the business more, which is another thing that content aware experts tend to have more of, right? They know what to do to bring in as many clients as they need each month. They actually can make more while working less, and everybody wants more time and more money. And one of the things that really was a catalyst for me in my business is my wife and I got a puppy, and puppies are expensive and they take up a lot of time. So I knew I needed to make more while working less. When you're content aware, you can have higher quality leads because you can actually use your content to start to filter out the wrong people, which is just as important as having the right people. You don't have to convince people to work with you. Like, I think a lot of people, when they think of selling, this is what they think of. They think selling means trying to convince people to work with you. And when you use your content to do that, then you don't actually have to do that. The right people kind of step up. They get to stop doing tasks that they hate in their business, and they get to start outsourcing that stuff so they can really hone in and focus on doing what they're best at and what they really like doing the most. And then you actually get more respect and trust from clients, which creates better results. So tell me this, has anyone in here had the experience of working with a client and trying to get a result for them, and the client is asking you for things that really aren't the best things to do to get that result that they told you, and you have to argue with them or try to explain to them why what they want is a bad idea? Just let me know in the chat if you've ever had that experience, because I think that's pretty common. And so content is one of the ways that you can minimize that phenomenon. Carrie says, yep, have had that. Absolutely. It's super, super frustrating. All right, so before we get going, let me tell you a little bit about me, just so you know, like, who is this person telling you to do all these things? My name is Kronda Adair, and I am the CEO of Karvel Digital, which I started in January of 2013. So just going on a little over 6 years with my business. And I often refer to myself as a recovering WordPress developer. I started out, I actually went to school and I got a degree from the Art Institute of Portland. And my degree was in web design and interactive media. So I worked as a developer in an agency and on my own for a long time. And for a while, I would just like make it websites for anybody who asked. It was just about like getting that cash. And over time, I've really evolved my business to really focus on marketing, because I think that's a bigger pain point for people. But I still love WordPress. I still geek out on tech stuff, but I'm really focused on marketing. I've done a lot of writing and public speaking, done a lot of speaking at conferences, tech conferences and marketing conferences, and podcasts and things like that. I've got a beautiful wife, Jessica, and that's our new puppy. His name's Obi. If any of you have spoken to me before this webinar, you probably know all about Obi, because I can't shut up about him. And he is, at this point, 7 months old. And we're also owned by 2 cats, Xander and Oz, and they are slowly getting used to the new addition. One of my superpowers is really melding persuasive content and automation and technology to give clients more time. So not only I'm creating content, but also positioning that content in front of people and doing it in an automated way. Oh, thanks, Eric. Eric says, beautiful family. Sue says, I have a Vizsla too. I feel your pain. Yeah, no, Vizslas are the best, but they're not for the weak. They're a pretty high energy breed. So that's me, and that's what I'm about. All right. Eric also says, trying to explain things to clients is a challenge because they don't know what they don't know. That's exactly right. All right. So let's get into it. Here's 3 content mistakes that you're probably making, that most people are making. And the first one is not thinking of content as an asset. So if you've ever had someone, say you're listening to a podcast and you know, the podcast is sponsored, or maybe the host talks about their company, and you think, oh, that sounds like something that I need, and you contact that person, or better yet, you've been a guest on a podcast yourself and had someone contact you later about your services. You know, if you think about that, you made that content. You probably spent, you know, if you were a guest, you probably spent an hour, you know, showing up and talking to that host about your business. And now that's out there and people can find you and come to you. So that content is actually an asset that continues to produce for your business. And all content can be an asset like that if you think of it in the right way. The second mistake people are making is they're not creating the right content, or they're not creating content at all. Both of those are super common. So we'll talk about what the right content is. You really want to be creating content that specifically addresses the big pains and problems of your market. I think people, especially my fellow sort of web professionals, have a tendency to produce content about things like tips and tricks, or technical things that clients don't actually care about. Clients just want to solve like their big pain point. And so if you can frame what you do in terms of having that solution and how it's going to fix that, that's going to be more effective than, you know, writing about security or plugins, or, you know, whatever the sort of tech speak in your industry would be. And the third big mistake is just not having strategy at all. Just kind of going out. I run into a lot of business owners who they're blogging because, you know, someone said like, oh, you should blog, like for SEO or whatever, but they really don't have a strategy behind that. And so it's not as effective as it could be. All right, so here's the new way to think about content and become content aware. And these are kind of the 5 things that are part of content aware strategy and having that. The first one is really having a clear offer. And this is something that I think not enough people think about. They just sort of do what they do. You know, they might be good at a lot of things, but they don't really think about packaging that up into a clear, simple offer that makes it really easy for people to raise their hand and say, oh yeah, I need that. And so your offer should be, you know, something that you can easily explain in a sentence or a paragraph, something that solves a really deep pain point. It's much, much easier to solve one big problem for people. And if you do that, then you can pick a problem that's kind of like a leverage problem, where if they solve this problem, then it's going to actually make a whole lot of other things in their business better. So when you have that clear offer, it's easier to market. It's easier to fulfill because you've kind of simplified what you do and you know what you need to do to fulfill that every time. If you don't have a clear offer, then it's just going to make it hard. It's going to make it harder to get clients because they don't really understand what do you do and what are they going to get out of it. So if this is you, if you're kind of struggling, like, what do I do? One of the things you can do is you can kind of sit down and make a list of what are all the things that you do or that you're good at. And looking at that list, you can then say to yourself, okay, of these things, what do I enjoy the most? First of all, because you want to enjoy what you do, but also what's the thing that solves that big pain point for people? And if you can match those two things, like something that you really like and are good at and something that solves a big problem for your market, that's going to be a really good offer. All right, so your offer should be simple, it should be easy to deliver consistently, and it should make a really big impact. All right, the second thing is your audience. So your audience needs to be specific. And I know we hear like, oh, you need to have a niche, you need to have a niche. And a lot of people, especially when they're new in business, really struggle with this. And I struggled with this it took me almost 5 years really to pick a niche and say, okay, this is who I can help. But when you get specific about your audience, it's easier to find where they're hanging out. It's easier to kind of draw a circle around them and say, okay, these are my people. Where are my people hanging out? Right? If you don't get specific and you're like, oh, I market to everyone, or I market to small business, which, small business is just, it's almost the same as saying everyone. If you don't get specific, then again, you're going to have a really hard time drawing a circle around that and targeting the people that you need to target and being really specific in your messaging. And then your audience ideally should have an expensive problem, because if we're trying to, enjoy our life as well as our business and get back time, then it's going to be more profitable for you to solve an expensive problem for fewer people than to try to be mass market. It's really hard to be mass market unless you're, Amazon or Coca-Cola or some, large company. All right, so the third thing is, where are you putting your content? And what I see a lot, especially in the days when I was making websites for, very new businesses, is they're blogging. They've just got this brand new website. They're super excited about it. They're blogging, but no one's reading your blog because nobody knows you're there. And so, especially if this is you and you don't really have a lot of traffic to your website and you're really trying to build awareness, you need to go where the people already are. And we have, these social platforms where you can, basically they're like watering holes. You can go and you can find your people and you can speak to those people where they're at. And you need to give them a reason to actually follow you and sort of come into your world and come into your ecosystem to find out what it is you have to offer. So, social platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, Twitter, there's all these places where you can go out and you can find your people. Just going to check in and see how we're doing on questions. Looks like no questions yet. All right, y'all are taking this in. That's awesome. All right, so here is the 10-minute content strategy. And one thing that I constantly think of is I actually know some folks who are like dating coaches, and a lot of their clients will show up in the beginning saying, okay, give me, it's usually men, like, give me all the tips and the tactics to get more dates. And what's actually true is that you have to become a person worth dating. And that's true of marketing as well. So the first thing is that you need to become a leader in your space. And you can do that by consistently publishing valuable content about those specific pains and problems that your market has. The second thing, which I kind of iterated before, is that you need to publish your content where your audience is actually hanging out already. You need to give them those sort of breadcrumbs that make them sit up and go, hey, who is this person? And then go and check you out in the places where you hang out. The third thing is those folks who engage with your content, you want to start curiosity-based conversations with the people who engage with your content. Why do I say curiosity-based? That's very specific. The reason I say that is because we're not starting conversations with people so that we can sell to them, right? Because people hate selling, and a lot of people hate being sold to. We're starting curiosity-based conversations to find out, where is this person in their business? Do they have the problem that I help people with? Is there a way that I can add value here? That's where we're starting the conversation, and we're building authentic relationships with people. And as you do that, some of those people are going to need your help, and that's going to naturally lead to a conversation to talk about your services. So it's a very organic process, and it's really fun actually when you get into it. And then the last thing is, if it turns out that those people do need your help, then you can invite them to get your help. And whatever your sales process looks like, you can invite them to take that next step. So everything making sense here? If y'all have questions, you can post up in the Q&A. Let's talk about, where are you going to get all of these ideas for content? That's one of the big problems that I see, and pain points that I see with the business owners that I've worked with is they know they should be producing content, but they're not sure what content to produce. So here is a tactic that you can use. And this is something that is called the 10 by 10 content matrix. I learned this from Mike Killen over at Sell Your Service. He's a brilliant marketer and funnel builder, and he was one of my coaches for a while. And so it's a really, really simple process. What you want to do is you want to think about, what is your expertise, the thing that you want to be known for. And you want to write down 10 sort of broad topics around that expertise. And once you have your broad topics, then you want to write down 10 subtopics under each of those broad topics. So those subtopics are going to be, articles or videos or podcast topics. You can produce the content in any form that you want. And once you do this, you're going to have 100 ideas that you're probably not even going to be able to produce in a year. And this process doesn't take that long. This is something that I used to do with clients as part of our discovery process, and we never took more than 2 hours to do this. And the clients would always think, man, this is never going to happen. I'm not going to be able to think of 100 ideas in a couple of hours. And I'd be like, just wait. And we would go through the process, and in my office we had this room with the whole walls were whiteboard in this room, so we would cover the entire room in these ideas. And they always did it. They always came up with their 100 ideas. And the thing is, even if you only come up with 5 by 5, that's 50 ideas that you didn't have an hour or two ago. This is a really useful process. Eric's wanting to know, what's the organizer that this screenshot is from, and it's Airtable. So yeah, airtable.com, awesome database tool if you need to organize your information. All right, so the next thing is timing. A lot of people don't think about this, but your future customers are on a journey, and you have to meet them where they're at in that journey. And you need to show them the right message for where they are in that journey and help them move to the next step. So what does that look like? People can be problem aware or problem unaware, meaning they might have the problem that you solve, but they might not even know it's a problem. So at that point, your messaging will want to make them aware that, hey, this is really a problem. So one example that I give from, my web development days is, people would just sort of throw up sites on Wix or Squarespace and think like that's all they really needed to grow their business. And what I have found from experience is that a lot of business owners, when they get to the point where they're really ready to grow and they're really starting to take online marketing more seriously, then they go back and they try to make that Wix or that Squarespace site work for them, and it just won't do the things that they need it to do. And at that point, they now have to start over on this long process of rebuilding their website right at the time where they really want to get momentum and take advantage of their growth. So that's a problem where, I wrote a lot of content to make people aware of that problem. So, then you might have a problem where people who don't know what the solution is. And so for those folks, you might want to talk about, okay, if you have this problem, like, this is the way I actually solve this problem, and talk about your process and how you do that. So you want to think about, you can sit down and think about, okay, what's the journey that my prospects go on, and what is it that they need to know in order to buy from me? And that's a way that you can start to structure your content to really move people down that path. All right. So I talked about using content to save time and to start outsourcing some of your tasks. So you can also create internal content that can be really useful. And I really like screen sharing videos as a tool to quickly delegate tasks. So I use Cloud App. There's also Loom. There's a lot of different tools where you can record what you're doing on your screen. And so I'll just fire one of those up, record what I'm doing, and when you get through that whole process, you've actually got a procedure that you can then hand off to somebody to take over to do the next time. And what usually happens is I'll do the initial recording and I'll send it over to my VA, and I'll actually have them write up, the step-by-step process in our software tool. And then we just refine that. And so as you go through, you might have skipped steps or you might have missed something. A lot of times when you're getting something out of your head, you make a lot of assumptions that are revealed once you hand it off to someone else. So as you go through and you do that task or have someone do that task, they can then add those things until that process creates a consistent result every time. Eric says, what about recording it and posting to Vimeo or YouTube? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we post all of our process videos. If it's useful to the public, you might even want to publish it, as a blog post or something to help build that authority, right? But you can also just publish it unlisted on YouTube and then have that as a tool to kind of get people up to speed really quickly. So that's how you can create standard operating procedures and get consistent results. And there are a couple of books that I really like about this sort of overall, systems and processes. One is called Work the System. And after the second time I read that book, that's when it kind of really got into me how important this was. And for a while, I was kind of proselytizing about it. And I would ask people, have you accepted process and documentation as your personal savior? So I felt like that is, the thing that is really going to give, especially a service-based business owner, time freedom, is to have those procedures so you can have your business actually run without you have to being in the weeds all the time. Another tool you can use is FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions. And that can be a great tool to bring a new team member up to speed. And it also can be a great tool, for marketing and to put on your website to kind of, if you have questions that you get over and over again, have a place to send people where those are answered. Yeah, so Bernard's asking about Loom. Yeah, Loom is great. It's free, and you just need a Chrome browser, and you can fire it up, and it's really easy to share the videos, and you can actually get notified when people watch the videos. So like if you make a Loom video to, to show your client something that they need to do to give access to or something like that, then you can tell, like, did they actually go and watch that video? And so, yeah, Loom is great. All right, so does this process actually work? I recently changed my business model so that I'm no longer doing done for you and focused on sort of the tech and the websites, where I'm actually just teaching this process to people. And so I started that about 6 weeks ago, and these are just some of the results that people are already getting, where they're starting to build momentum around what they do. So we had a client who came in, and within 5 weeks, she reached her goal of getting $25,000 in sponsorship money for the conferences that she wants to run. We had someone come in who I have like a one-on-one velocity call with everybody who comes in. And just from that call, he went and implemented some of the advice I gave about just, really being upfront and direct with folks who need your help and asking them, hey, do you want to get on a call and talk about this, and kind of shortening that sales cycle. Like, we think we need to put, miles and miles of content in front of people. And sometimes, somebody raises their hand and they have an issue, you can just say, hey, this is what I do. Do you want to talk about it? So this whole process doesn't have to take a long time. And then we had someone who, was building on the 10-minute content strategy, and a suggestion that I made to kind of break off a piece of your offer and give somebody kind of a sample of what you do. And so she was able to build out, a profile and share that with her client. And it really like skyrocketed the trust that her client had that, oh, this person really knows what they're doing. So that's kind of what I have for you. So we went over how to create content that brings you leads who are ready to buy. And we talked about the 10-minute content strategy. And we talked about the steps that you can take to start bringing in more consistent leads, right? Publishing consistently, and make sure you have that strategy and publish the right content so that you're getting those leads coming in even before you start using paid ads, if that's a route that you want to go. We talked about using content to outsource more tasks in your business and getting back time. And you can really take back, up to 20 hours a month of your time or more if you really implement a lot of these strategies. So I want to just check in at this point, see like, how are you all doing, and answer any questions that you have. And I'm just going to scroll back on the chat. So this is your chance to, I have a no coffee date policy, so people don't get a chance to just kind of ask me questions on the fly like this. So I'm going to just hang out and make sure that y'all get your questions answered before we wrap up here. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, this sounds really good, but I'm feeling like overwhelmed and I'm not really sure what to do next or what's going to be the most important thing for me to implement, I want to invite you to get some help. And if you'd like to talk to us about getting some help, this is the URL that you can go to. It's karveldigital.com/apply. And basically that's going to allow you to get on my calendar and schedule a 45-minute chat where I'm going to learn about your business and learn about where you're at right now and where you're trying to go, and see if there's something I can do to speed that journey up for you so that you can reach your goals a little quicker. So Eric is saying, my business model is not about creating content, yet I do have years of experience and can do this. Not sure how to change that business model. So I'm hired as a branding specialist and website design developer. I love helping people, and yes, I'm told a lot. You know so much, you should post this online. Yeah, so this strategy isn't about having a business that revolves around content. It doesn't matter what your business is. You can still use content to market it. So, if you want to continue to specialize in branding and web design, like that's great. So what you need to do is think about, okay, what are the challenges that lead people to need a web designer or a brand specialist? How can I write about those challenges in a way that shows people, hey, I really understand your problem? And then write about your solution and like your process of how you take people through branding process, how you take people through like having a website that's maybe outdated or underperforming to having, the website that's actually going to help them grow their business. So that's what you would create content about, Eric, is, what is your business and how do you take people through from basically, having that pain point to enjoying that solution. And really talk about the benefits of that and what it's like to work with you. And if you start doing that, you'll probably start seeing more people coming to you and more people, raising their hand and saying, oh yeah, I need to work with that guy. And sometimes people, like, they know they have the problem, but they're not really ready to take action. And so producing content regularly also just keeps you top of mind, so that, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, oh yeah, you know, I can't even think of an example, but, you know, it's like, I know that there's a tool, a software tool, a person, you know, who is that lawyer I talked to, you know, whatever it is, where I'm like, oh, what was that? And so if you're communicating with people regularly, they don't have to search their mind to think, you know, are they going to go find you? Like, if they can't think of it, they're going to go find someone else. So you definitely want to be the person that they think of when they're ready. Eric says, sort of like short snippets and contact me to learn more. Yeah, like definitely, you know, content can be all kinds of different links and all kinds of different formats. So I do posts that are really sort of short and impactful, and I also do novels. Like, I can write forever. So some people don't like to write, so they do videos. Some people hate videos, so they write. You know, you can do this in the medium that really you're most comfortable in to start out. All right, y'all. Awesome. Cool. Thanks for that question, Eric. So one of the things, let's see. I wanted to just check and say, you know, now that you've seen this, like, what are your goals? What are the, you know, I just launched another poll, and I would love to know from y'all, like, kind of what's the most important thing that you feel like, you know, out of the things we shared today, what's the most important thing that you're wanting to get? It's like better clients, more control over your client acquisition, enjoying your business, earning more, working less, getting those higher quality leads. So just let me know in that poll. And I'd also love to know in the chat, like, what was the biggest takeaway for you here today? Was there an aha moment you had, or a gold nugget? That really helps me to know sort of what's really hitting home and what's important to people. So I'd love it if y'all would share with me in the chat about that. So I see more ideal clients to get a vote for, earning more while working less. Yep. Sue says, thinking that I need processes. Yeah, that can be super helpful. If you feel like you're just doing all the things and you don't really have time to work on your business, getting some stuff on your plate and getting your time back is a great first step. Eric says, biggest takeaway, I'm sitting on a pile of assets. I can leverage that to my business. Yeah. Yep. And that's, you know, that's one of the big things, is that when you're just going and and you're working in your business and you're, you know, fulfilling and you're helping clients, you don't really take the time to sit back and think, like, what are my assets? What are the things that I know that are valuable? And it can be hard to recognize, because usually it can be so easy for us to do what we do that we don't really think of it as valuable, right? We're like, oh, can't everybody do that? Doesn't everybody know this? But they don't. And that's why they need you. And that's why they need you to actually share, like, hey, I'm really good at this, so they can stop, you know, trying to do it themselves. Awesome. Well, I want to thank y'all for coming out today. This was really fun. I hope you got some good information out of this. I hope you're going to implement what you learned here today. And thanks for sticking around. I'll make sure that David, Eric, Carrie, Latoya, Sue, make sure y'all will get that 10-minute content strategy mini course. We'll get that out to you here within the next day or so. And yeah, if there's anything else I can do for you, y'all know where to find me. So thank you so much.